Living alone later in life offers a complex mix of freedom, peace, and empowerment, but also challenges that are often hidden beneath the surface. As we age, many of us cherish the autonomy to make decisions independently, to shape our days without outside interference, and to enjoy the quiet solitude of our homes. Yet, with this independence comes a new set of emotional, physical, and social realities that are rarely discussed. In this piece, we'll explore these unspoken truths in a thoughtful way. These insights are drawn from the personal stories of those who have lived through it, combined with a deeper understanding of what it means to live alone as we grow older. Through these reflections, we will not only acknowledge the challenges, but also uncover the beauty and wisdom that can be found in solitude. Whether you're preparing to live alone in your later years, or you're already navigating this path, these truths can help you embrace this chapter with grace, dignity, and self-compassion. 1. You are your own emergency backup, a realization that can shift your whole perspective. One of the first and most sobering truths about living alone as you age is realizing that you are solely responsible for your safety. The absence of someone else in the house means that if something happens, an accident, a fall, a sudden health scare, you may not have anyone there to help immediately. It's a realization that can feel overwhelming at first, but it's also a call to action. Many older adults recount stories of near misses, from falls in the kitchen to minor heart scares that, had they not prepared for, could have ended tragically. These stories are reminders of the importance of planning for the unexpected. One woman shared her experience of slipping in the shower and lying there for hours, unable to reach her phone. Afterward, she bought a waterproof phone holder to keep in the bathroom and invested in a smartwatch with emergency features. It's important not to let the fear of what might happen overshadow your life, but rather to take practical steps that allow you to live more freely. Whether it's installing a medical alert system, keeping your phone on you at all times, or enlisting a neighbor to check in regularly, these small precautions provide peace of mind. And peace of mind is essential when you live alone. Remember, taking proactive steps doesn't signify weakness or dependency. It signifies wisdom and foresight. 2. Loneliness isn't just about the absence of people. It's the absence of shared moments. Loneliness is a complex emotion, and it doesn't always manifest as an acute feeling of being alone. Often it's subtler than that. For many older adults, loneliness comes not from missing the presence of people, but from missing the small, shared moments that used to fill the day. The morning exchange of "how did you sleep?" or the evening reflection on the day's events. These little interactions form the fabric of life when living with someone, and their absence can be deeply felt. Even for introverts who often enjoy solitude, there's a kind of loneliness that can arise from missing the casual, everyday interactions that make life feel connected. A man in his 70s described how after his wife passed, he missed the small gestures they shared more than the grand moments. "I didn't miss the big trips or the holidays as much as I missed hearing her hum while she made breakfast," he said. "It's the small things that you notice when they're gone." While friends and family can fill some of this void, their lives often pull them in different directions. Pets, for many, become essential companions. A woman in her mid-60s shared how her cat became a constant presence in her life, offering comfort during quiet evenings. "He doesn't talk," she said, "but his presence reminds me that I'm not completely alone." Beyond pets, finding ways to create new shared moments with yourself can be transformative. Simple acts like journaling, having regular video calls with family, or engaging in hobbies that bring joy can help combat the sense of isolation. You may also consider volunteering or joining local groups, which offer new opportunities for connection. Ultimately, it's about recognizing that while some moments can't be replicated, new moments shared with yourself or others can be just as meaningful. 3. Home maintenance can feel like a mountain to climb, but it's also an opportunity for control. As we age, the effort required to maintain a home becomes more noticeable. Tasks that were once routine, mowing the lawn, fixing a leaky faucet, or even deep cleaning the house, begin to feel more taxing. For those who have lived alone for years, the accumulation of repairs and chores can become overwhelming. Yet, maintaining your home is not just about keeping things in order, it's also about maintaining a sense of control over your environment. One man in his late 60s shared how the small repairs around his house began to pile up after his wife passed. It wasn't that I didn't care, he said. It was that I just didn't have the energy to tackle it all. Over time, he began to prioritize the tasks that were most important to him, fixing the things that directly impacted his comfort, like his heating system or the lighting in his living room. It became less about perfection and more about making my space comfortable, he reflected. Many older adults find that outsourcing tasks can relieve some of this burden. Hiring help for more physically demanding tasks, like yard work or plumbing, can allow you to focus on what matters most. And if finances permit, downsizing to a smaller, more manageable space can be life changing. Moving to a condo was the best decision I made, one woman shared. I don't have to worry about yard work or major repairs anymore, and that has given me more freedom. But beyond the practical aspects, home maintenance can also be seen as an opportunity for autonomy. It's about making choices for your living space and, by extension, your life. You get to decide what projects to take on and which ones to leave behind. In that decision making process, you regain a sense of control over your environment, even as your energy wanes. 4. Routines become more than just structure. They become your anchor in solitude. When you live alone, especially in later life, routines are not just about filling the day. They become your anchor. Without the presence of a partner or family to share in daily life, the rituals you create are what give your days shape and meaning. These routines, whether it's a morning walk, reading in the afternoon, or a cup of tea before bed, are the rhythms that keep you connected to the world, even when the world around you feels distant. A woman in her 70s described how her daily walk became more than just exercise. It's my time to think, to process my day, she said. Sometimes it's the only part of my day that feels consistent, and that brings me peace. Another man in his 60s mentioned how he starts every morning by listening to the same radio show, calling it his mental warm up for the day. Routines provide not only comfort, but a sense of accomplishment. Even small tasks like making the bed or watering the plants can bring a sense of order and purpose. These daily habits are particularly important for mental well being, helping to stave off the feeling of aimlessness that can sometimes accompany living alone. And while routines bring stability, it's also essential to allow room for spontaneity. Having the flexibility to break from routine when needed keeps life fresh. One man shared how once a week he allows himself to break from his usual schedule, whether that means going out for lunch, taking a different walking route, or visiting a new part of town. This balance between routine and flexibility ensures that life, while structured, doesn't become monotonous. 5. Cooking for one isn't just about eating, it's about caring for yourself. For many older adults living alone, cooking for one can feel like a burdensome task. Without the need to cook for others, the motivation to prepare a full meal can wane, leading many to rely on frozen dinners, takeout, or skipping meals altogether. But cooking, when reframed, can become more than just a way to sustain yourself. It can become a profound act of self care. A woman in her 60s shared how she used to resent cooking after her children moved out and her husband passed away. I didn't see the point, she said. Why go to all that effort just for me? But over time, she realized that cooking wasn't just about nourishing her body, it was about nourishing her spirit. When I started treating cooking as something I did for myself rather than something I had to do, it became an act of love. Many older adults find that batch cooking can alleviate the daily pressure of preparing meals. Preparing meals that can last several days or freezing portions for later can make the process more manageable. Some have even turned to cooking as a creative outlet, experimenting with new recipes and treating it as a form of personal expression. I started cooking different dishes from around the world, one man said. It wasn't just about eating, it was about exploring. Cooking for yourself, especially as you age, is a reminder that you are worthy of care and effort. It's a way of telling yourself that you still matter, even if no one else is there to share the meal. Whether it's a simple breakfast or a more elaborate dinner, the act of preparing food for yourself can be a small but significant way to show yourself kindness. 6. The quiet of your home can feel both unsettling and sacred. The quiet that comes with living alone is one of the most profound changes many older adults face. For some, it's a welcome relief after years of raising children or living with a partner, but for others, the silence can be unsettling, especially if it's sudden, following the death of a spouse, a divorce, or children moving out. The house, once filled with noise and activity, now echoes with a stillness that can feel both peaceful and isolating. One woman in her 70s shared how, after her husband passed away, the silence in her home became overwhelming. I didn't realize how much noise filled our life until it was gone, she said. To cope, she started playing soft music in the background throughout the day, or she would leave the TV on for company. It wasn't about watching, she explained. It was about having some noise in the house. But others have found that silence, once embraced, can become a sacred space. It's in the quiet moments that many older adults discover a deeper connection with themselves and with their surroundings. A man in his 60s shared how the quiet of his mornings had become a time for reflection and meditation. It's in the silence that I hear my own thoughts most clearly, he said. Finding a balance between embracing the silence and filling it when needed is key. Some older adults turn to podcasts or audiobooks not just for entertainment, but for the sound of another human voice. Others embrace the silence, using it as a time for introspection, prayer, or creative work. The quiet of your home can be both unsettling and sacred, but it is yours to shape. 7. Staying physically active is a commitment, but it's a lifeline for your well-being. As we age, physical activity becomes not just important, it becomes essential. But without a partner or someone else in the house encouraging you to get up and move, it can be easy to fall into a sedentary lifestyle. Many older adults report that after a few months of living alone, they noticed a decline in their physical fitness simply because there were fewer reasons to stay active. One man in his late 60s shared how he slowly stopped taking his daily walks after his wife passed. I didn't even realize I was moving less until my body started to stiffen up, he said. I was sitting more, and before I knew it, I wasn't walking at all. The key to staying physically active when you live alone is intentionality. It requires making a commitment to yourself to move, even when there's no one else around to motivate you. This doesn't mean you have to start hitting the gym or doing rigorous exercise. In fact, many older adults find joy in simpler activities, like daily walks, gardening, or even dancing around the living room. A woman in her 70s shared how she incorporated light stretching into her morning routine. It's not about becoming an athlete, she said. It's about keeping my body moving, keeping myself flexible. Another man joined a local senior fitness class, not only for the exercise, but for the social aspect. It's about staying connected, both physically and socially, he explained. Physical activity doesn't have to be a chore. It can be a source of joy and energy. Whether it's walking, stretching, swimming, or even just taking the stairs instead of the elevator, finding ways to stay active is one of the most important things you can do for your well-being. 8. Your relationship with time changes. It becomes yours to shape. One of the most profound and often surprising aspects of living alone later in life is how time shifts. Without the structure of a partner's schedule, children's activities, or a full-time job, time can begin to feel different. Some days might stretch out endlessly, while others slip away unnoticed. It's easy to lose track of the day or even the month when there are no external cues, marking the passage of time. One woman in her 70s reflected on how time felt elastic after her husband passed. Some days felt like they would never end, and others seemed to disappear before I even realized they'd begun, she said. This disorientation with time can be unsettling, especially if you've spent most of your life adhering to a structured schedule. But there's also freedom in this new relationship with time. Living alone allows you to shape your days however you see fit. Some people find comfort in creating their own schedules, designating certain days for specific tasks, like grocery shopping on Mondays or laundry on Wednesdays. Others embrace the fluidity, letting each day unfold naturally. Hobbies, too, can become a way to structure time. One woman shared how she joined a knitting group that met every Thursday. It gave me something to look forward to, something to anchor my week, she said. Another man mentioned how he started gardening every afternoon, creating a routine that was both productive and calming. Ultimately, living alone gives you the chance to redefine your relationship with time. It's no longer dictated by the needs of others, it's yours to shape. Whether you choose to stick to a schedule or let your days flow more freely, finding a rhythm that works for you is one of the gifts of solitude. 9. Decluttering is about more than just letting go. It's about making room for what matters now. As we get older, the things we've accumulated over the years, whether it's furniture, clothes, or memorabilia, begin to take on new meaning. When you live alone, especially after the loss of a spouse or after children have moved out, decluttering can feel both necessary and emotionally complex. Every item in your home holds a memory, a story, or a connection to the past, making it difficult to part with. One woman shared how she struggled with letting go of her late husband's belongings, even though she knew she didn't need them anymore. It wasn't just about the things, she said. It was about the memories they held. For many older adults, decluttering becomes an emotional process of sorting through the past, deciding what to keep and what to let go of. But decluttering is not just about letting go. It's about making room for what matters now. A man in his late 60s described how, after years of holding on to things he no longer needed, he decided to downsize his belongings. I realized that my home wasn't a museum of my past, he said. It needed to reflect who I am now, not who I was. For many, the process of decluttering can be both liberating and emotionally challenging. It's important to start small, focusing on one area at a time, and it's equally important to allow yourself to feel the emotions that come with it. I cried over some things I gave away, one woman said, but in the end, I felt lighter. Decluttering when you're older isn't about achieving minimalism for the sake of it. It's about creating a space that feels like a reflection of your current self. It's about keeping the things that bring you joy and letting go of the things that no longer serve you. And in doing so, you make room for new experiences and new memories. 10. You have to be proactive about social connections, and that can be empowering. As we age, social invitations may start to dwindle. It's not that people stop caring about you, but as friends and family grow busy with their own lives, whether it's work, raising children, or moving away, you might find yourself less involved in group activities. Waiting for the phone to ring or for someone to invite you over can lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness. One woman in her late 60s shared how she used to sit by the phone hoping someone would call. I felt forgotten, she said. It wasn't that people didn't care, it was just that everyone was busy with their own lives. Over time, she realized that if she wanted to maintain her social connections, she had to be the one to reach out. I started inviting people over for coffee, organizing small gatherings, she said. And to my surprise, people were happy to come. They were just waiting for someone to take the initiative. Taking charge of your social life can feel daunting at first, but it's also empowering. Instead of waiting for others to include you, You create your own opportunities for connection. One man in his 60s started a weekly walking group with his neighbors. I wanted to stay active and social at the same time, he said. So I invited a few people to join me, and now we meet every Sunday. By being proactive about your social connections, you take control of your social life in a way that allows you to shape it around your interests and needs. Whether it's hosting a movie night, joining a book club, or organizing a potluck, taking the initiative ensures that you stay connected even as others' lives grow busier. 11. Self care is a daily commitment, but it's also a declaration of your worth. When you live alone, especially as you age, it's easy to let self care slide. Without someone else in the house to notice whether you've eaten a healthy meal or whether you've showered that day, it can feel like there's no reason to put in the effort. But self care is not just about physical health, it's about maintaining a sense of self worth and dignity. One man in his early 70s shared how he fell into a routine of neglect after his wife passed away. I wasn't eating well, I stopped shaving, and I just didn't care, he said. There was no one to notice, so I thought, what's the point? But over time, he realized that self care wasn't about doing it for someone else, it was about doing it for himself. I had to remind myself that I was worth the effort, he said, that taking care of myself was a way of showing respect for my own life. Self care can take many forms. It might be as simple as preparing a nutritious meal, going for a walk, or setting aside time to do something you enjoy, like reading or gardening. For some, it's about maintaining a grooming routine, taking the time to get dressed each morning, even if you're not going anywhere. Self care is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's a daily commitment to yourself, a declaration that you are worthy of love, care, and attention, even when no one else is there to see it. I light candles every evening, one woman shared. It's a small thing, but it makes me feel calm, centered, and cared for. 12. Legacy and reflection. Living for yourself while leaving something meaningful for others. As we grow older and spend more time alone, we naturally begin to reflect on our lives and what we want to leave behind. This reflection isn't about wealth or material possessions. It's about the legacy of memories, values, and wisdom that we pass on to the next generation. Living alone gives you the space to think deeply about what you want your legacy to be and how you want to be remembered. One woman in her 70s started writing letters to her grandchildren, filled with stories from her life and the lessons she learned along the way. I realized that I might not be around forever, she said, but I wanted my grandchildren to know who I was, not just as their grandmother, but as a person. For others, legacy takes the form of storytelling, whether it's documenting family history, organizing old photos, or simply sharing memories with loved ones. One man spent hours recording the stories behind each family heirloom so that his children and grandchildren would understand the significance of these items. Your legacy doesn't have to be grand. It might be as simple as teaching a grandchild how to cook a favorite recipe, passing down a family tradition, or sharing a personal story that holds meaning. It's about living in a way that reflects your values and ensuring that those values continue long after you're gone. But while legacy is about leaving something for others, it's also about living fully for yourself in the present. It's about making choices that reflect who you are now and embracing the time you have left with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Living alone allows you the space to reflect on these deeper questions, and in doing so, you can find peace in both your living alone in your later years is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about finding joy in solitude, creating new connections, and maintaining a sense of self-worth and dignity. Yes, there are challenges, but there are also profound opportunities for reflection, growth, and fulfillment. The freedom to shape your days, the peace of a quiet home, and the chance to leave a meaningful legacy. These are the gifts of living alone in your later years. By embracing these 12 truths, you can not only navigate the challenges of living alone, but you can also discover a deeper sense of purpose, connection, and joy in this stage of life. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you find these stories inspiring and motivating, please comment one. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time.